Have you ever tried to imagine a city so old it actually saw the invention of farming? A place that was already ancient before the first stones of Stonehenge were even put up? Well, that's the story of Jericho. It's one of the very first and longest surviving urban experiments in all of human history, with a story that goes back an incredible 11,000 years. Okay, so let's just dive right into this massive stone tower. I mean, look at it. It's 8.5 meters tall, and it was built way back around 8000 BCE. Now, to give you some perspective, that is thousands of years before the Great Pyramids of Egypt were even a blueprint. So the question is, what on earth was it for? To really get why this tower is so extraordinary, we have to go all the way back to the moment humanity decided to stop wandering and, for the first time, build a permanent home. And this wasn't just about putting a roof over their heads. This was a complete revolution in how we lived, how we worked, and how we existed together as a community. Right, so the tower was built during this totally game-changing era called the Pre-Pottery Neolithic A. It's a time when people are just figuring out how to grow crops like wheat and barley, but, and this is the key part, they haven't even invented pottery nut to store it all in. And Jericho, it's the absolute star of this period. It's the main site that all other discoveries from this time are compared to. Now, just try to wrap your head around the sheer manpower involved here. Archaeologists figure it took about 100 people more than 100 days to drag and stack all these stones. For a small community of just a few hundred people, this was their moonshot. It tells us there had to be a leader who could inspire people, planners who could manage the whole project, and some kind of powerful shared belief that could unite everyone in this incredibly difficult common goal. And here's the thing, the debate is still going on today. What was it for? Was it something practical, like a defense against flash floods coming down from the hills, or was it something more? Some researchers think it was a ritual center. Others have pointed out that its internal staircase lines up perfectly with the setting sun on the summer solstice, basically making it a giant astronomical clock. This single mystery is probably our best window into the minds and ambitions of our earliest ancestors. But you know, that tower, as amazing as it is, was really just one piece of a much, much bigger story. So let's zoom out and look at how this incredible shift from a nomadic life to a settled community created the very first blueprint for urban living, right here in Jericho. The secret ingredient for Jericho's success? Water. The es-Sultan spring was like a green jewel in the middle of this sun-baked valley, a powerful, permanent oasis. For thousands of years, nomadic hunters used it as a rest stop. But then, around 9600 BCE, as the climate got more stable, people started to stay. And that one decision, to stop moving, is what turned this life-giving spring into the heart of the world's first city. Now, what's really fascinating here is the massive mental shift this required. See, hunter-gatherer life is all about immediate return. You hunt something, you eat it right away. But settled life with farming introduces a delayed return system. You plant a tiny seed and you have to trust that in a few months you'll have a harvest. That demanded a whole new way of thinking. You had to plan for the long term, figure out how to store surplus food, and learn to cooperate on huge projects, like that tower. And here you can see exactly how that blueprint for a city came together. First, people started living by the spring all year round. That stability gave them the time they needed to domesticate the first crops. That, in turn, led to building more permanent, round houses made of mud brick. And with a stable food supply, the population grew, which freed up the manpower to build the walls and the tower that made Jericho the first fortified town in history. Of course, Jericho's story didn't just stop in the Stone Age. The very things that made it a cradle of civilization, that strategic location and all that precious water, also made it a prime target. In a way, its greatest blessing also became its curse, putting it right at a crossroads that would see countless empires march through for thousands of years to come. You've probably heard of its most famous, or maybe infamous, moment. It comes straight out of the Hebrew Bible, the Battle of Jericho. The story is just iconic, right? The Israelite army, led by Joshua, marches around the city for 7 days, the priests blow their trumpets, and the massive city walls just come tumbling down. It's a foundational story of conquest. But it is really important to point out that modern archaeology, while it's found little to no evidence for this specific event happening in that time period. Today, most scholars think the story probably served a more theological purpose for its authors, or maybe it grew out of much older collective memories of the city's many, many other destructions over the centuries. This timeline really shows Jericho's incredible staying power.
In the Bronze Age, it was a major Canaanite fortress. For Rome's King Herod, it was a fancy winter palace to escape the cold Jerusalem hills. Under the Umayyad Caliphate, it was home to a spectacular desert palace. And even in our own time, it became this huge symbol of hope when, under the Oslo Accords, it was the very first city handed over to Palestinian Authority control.
So after all this time, after entire empires have risen and fallen, what is Jericho's real legacy? Let's take a look at why this ancient site is actually more relevant today than ever before. So, just recently, in 2023, the original Mound of Jericho, known as Tel es-Sultan, was named a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Now, this isn't just some plaque on a wall. This is the entire world officially saying that Jericho's story, the story of our first steps toward living in cities, belongs to all of us. It's part of our shared human heritage. And the site itself is just an absolute treasure trove. The mound, or tell, is literally a layer cake of history with the ruins of over 20 different settlements stacked one on top of the other. It's given us these unique and kind of haunting artifacts, like plastered human skulls where they lovingly recreated the features of the dead, allowing the faces of our ancestors to stare back at us across 9,000 years. It's a continuous story of who we are.
And that really leads us to a final thought. The people who created Jericho faced their own versions of climate change and resource scarcity, and their solution was to cooperate, to organize, and to build something completely new. As we build the infinitely more complex cities of our future and face our own global challenges, the question isn't just what we can learn from them, but do we still have that same courage to innovate and organize for the common good?